This is the Season Long Podcast in support of the YouTube channel SeasonLongBaller. Happy to have you with us. We have been off for the past couple weeks, but now we are looking at the NBA Finals, which start on Thursday, and this will be your official NBA Finals preview, and we will tell you who the Washington Wizards and our NBA 2K23 player build, Jaymont Summerz, will be facing. So, going right into the Western Conference Finals, which you know was between the LA Clippers and the Memphis Grizzlies. That was your 1 and 2 seed out west. The game 1 went to the Grizzlies, a 73-47 victory in favor of the Grizzlies. Ja Morant leading the way with 22 points, going 8 out of 10 from the field and 2 out of 3 from deep. And as you can see, the Clippers only shot 37% from the field, while the Grizzlies were 58% from the field. And this is somewhat of a theme as you're going to see going through the series, where one of the teams is going to shoot just abysmal and the other team ends up blowing them out. And that was basically what you're going to get this entire series. And again, game 1, 73-47 in favor of the Grizzlies. Now, game 2, the Clippers come back, closest game of the series, 56-51 in favor of the Clippers. The Clippers here shot 48%, while the Grizzlies shot 46%. The Clippers were 19 out of 40. The Grizzlies were 19 out of 41. But your main difference here, 3-pointers. The Clippers were 53% from deep, going 9 out of 17, while the Grizzlies were only 4 out of 16, a 25% clip. And there's your 5-point difference. There were some differences, of course, in rebounding, relatively close, with the Grizzlies having a slight edge in, say, offensive rebounds, 8-7, and a slight edge in defensive rebounds, 16-14. But the biggest difference where the Clippers were over 50% from 3, while the Grizzlies were at 25%, and your final score in game 2 was 56-51. So the scene shifts back to game 3, and it is a 9-point victory for the Grizzlies, 53-44. And if you notice, the Clippers, again, shot terribly, 15 out of 44 for a 34% clip from the field, only 5 out of 18 from deep. While the Grizzlies were only 24% from deep, they did shoot better, 45% from the field, and a 9-point victory in this one, 53-44, led again by Ja Morant, who scored 16 points, going 6 out of 11 from the field, 2 out of 5 from deep. The Clippers countered with Paul George going with 15 points, 5 out of 8 from the field, 3 out of 4 from deep. Kawhi Leonard only had 7, but only shot the ball 4 times in the 53-44 victory for the Grizzlies in LA now in Game 3. Game 4, a 21-point whitewashing for the Clippers over the Grizzlies, 59-38. And notice, again, poor shooting from the losers. The Grizzlies only shot 33% from the field, while the Clippers shot 55% from the field. Grizzlies 6 out of 22 from deep, Clippers 8 out of 17 from deep. And notice the big difference in this game, in the fourth quarter, the Grizzlies only scored 2 points. Yeah, only 2 points, while the Clippers were pretty consistent, scoring 16 in 3 of the 4 quarters. 11 in the third was the only difference there. But they outscored the Grizzlies 16-2 in the fourth quarter, and that was the biggest difference in the game, a 59-38 victory in Game 4. So Game 5 is going to end up shifting back to Memphis, and it is a 2-2 series. So Game 5, one of the bigger scoring games, but again, pretty much that stark difference in the shooting. Grizzlies with a 75-55 victory and a 3-2 series lead, a 20-point win in which they shot 69% from the field. The Clippers only shot 47%, which isn't horrible, but when your opponent's shooting 69%. Also in the rebounding game, the Clippers, and of course there weren't very many misses if you were the Grizzlies, but the Clippers only had 14 rebounds and the Grizzlies had 25, including 19 defensive rebounds. So when the Grizzlies did miss, they also had 6 offensive rebounds on top of that 69% shooting. So that is going to lead to a loss in a lot of cases. The Grizzlies were only 3 out of 10 from deep, but they were hitting everything else. The Clippers were 11 out of 23 from deep. So you could say that somewhat kept them in the game for a little bit, but still a 20-point victory for the Grizzlies. Again, Ja Morant leading the way with 20 points, 8 out of 14 from the field. Dillon Brooks had 15 points, 7 out of 10 from the field, and that led the way for the Grizzlies in the victory. Kawhi Leonard had 14 in the loss, 5 out of 9 from the field, and 2 out of 4 from deep. Again, 75-55 in favor of the Grizzlies. So could they close it out in LA? And the answer to that is no. Game 6, the Clippers come back and tie the series with a 51-35 victory. Again, the losers shooting under 40%. The Grizzlies at 15 out of 41, 37% from the field. The Clippers are 17 out of 38, 45% from the field, only 29% from deep, but the Grizzlies were only 3 out of 16, so slightly less at 19%, than hitting 1/5 of their three-pointers. So the big difference here in Game 6, the Clippers with a 51-35 victory, and they did shoot a little bit better. Morant was the leading scorer, or tied for the leading scorer with the Grizzlies, but was only 3 out of 9 from the field and did not hit a shot from three-point land, as he was 0 for 2. He was tied for the team lead in scoring with Steven Adams, who was 4 out of 4 from the field and also only scored 8 points. And again, a 51-35 victory for the Clippers. So Game 7, winner take all. NBA Finals on the line back in Memphis, and it is a 59-42 victory for the Grizzlies. And again, that theme throughout this series, the Clippers shot terribly in Game 7, 15 out of 47, 32% from the field, while the Grizzlies were 55% from the field and 6 out of 18 from deep, for 1 out of every 3 dropping from deep. But the Clippers were less than that at 6 out of 22, only 27% from the field. Neither team was lighting it up from the free throw line. But again, that big difference, the Grizzlies with 55% from the field and 32% versus 32% from the Clippers. And so the Clippers are eliminated. Despite the fact, the Grizzlies were led by Jaren Jackson in this game with 11 points from the field, 3 out of 5 from deep, for a 60% clip for himself, shooting from deep, and again, leading the team with 11 points. In this game, interestingly enough, Ja Morant only had 6 points, only shot the ball 5 times, had 3 assists, and again, a 59-42 victory for the Grizzlies. Kawhi Leonard led the way for the Clippers with 8 points, going 4 out of 8 from the field. So that sets up your opponent for the Washington Wizards. Game 7 going to the Grizzlies means that it will be the 1 seeds in each conference. Grizzlies out of the West, the Wizards out of the East, and that will be your NBA Finals. Now, how did the Wizards get here? As you know, the Cavaliers did manage to get a game over the Wizards. That series ended up going 4-1 in favor of the Wizards. An 81-79 victory for the Cavaliers in Game 4. The Cavaliers did shoot 53% from the field, and there's a big reason for that, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But it is a game winner from Darius Garland with 0.8 seconds to go from deep that provided the final margin of victory. Cavaliers were down 79-78. Garland hit the 3. My bad defense. Yes, I will say it. My bad defense. Jaymont Summerz was giving just a little bit too much room to Garland, and he nailed the 3, and that ended up being the difference in the game. Jaymont Summerz' 3 at the buzzer was released after the clock went off, and the Cavaliers staved off elimination in Game 4 in Cleveland, 81-79. The biggest reason for this, Evan Mobley, 10 out of 13 from the field, 1 out of 2 from deep, had 11 rebounds. His 21-11 double-double led the Cavaliers, and he constantly hit key shots all the way through the game. And though he didn't hit the game winner, of course, that went to Garland, as I mentioned, his 21-11 was the main reason why the Cavaliers survived Game 4. Now, Game 5 is back in Washington, and the Wizards only shot 47% from the field. The Cavaliers only shot 44% from the field, but the big difference was the Wizards were 12 out of 28 from deep. The Cavaliers were only 7 out of 17 from deep, and it was a 78-62 victory for the Wizards to close out the Eastern Conference Finals. And the main reason that the Wizards shot so well from deep, it was Bradley Beal. Beal was 7 out of 7 from deep. As you see here, Donovan Mitchell actually had 19 points and probably had his best game of the series, scoring 19 and going 9 out of 14 from the field. But the reason for this game, the reason for the Wizards' victory was Bradley Beal going 10 out of 11 from the field. Did not miss from deep, going 7 out of 7 from deep, scoring 31 points. He had 29 points earlier in the series and actually ended up being the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So Beal had 31, 7 out of 7 from deep. And if you remember watching the game, we constantly ran pick and fade, basically, or pick and fade with Beal. The Cavaliers were slow on coverage, and Beal just continued to nail threes until the Cavaliers made an adjustment there. But by that point, it was too late. The Wizards survived a fourth quarter, or somewhat of a fourth quarter rally by the Cavaliers, because Beal kept hitting. And again, he went 10 out of 11 from the field and 7 out of 7 from distance. And that led to a 78-62 victory for the Wizards. So now let's take a look at your Jaymont Summerz play of the week. And I bet you can guess what it is.
Summerz takes the three, gets fouled. Yes! Yeah! Yes! Yes, the opportunity for the 4-point play. All right, we got to finish this. That might have been the most pressure-packed. That might have been the most pressure-packed free throw I've ever shot. Because how often are you gonna get a 4-point play opportunity on here? Summerz completes the 4-point play.
Yes, a clutch 4-point play in a tense game 4. However, even though we hit that 4-point play, as I mentioned earlier, we made the mistake on defense that allowed Garland to be open to hit the game-winning 3 at the just before the buzzer, with less than a second to go in the game. So that kind of minimizes the impact of this 4-point play. So we now know that the conference finals, the NBA finals, is Wizards, Grizzlies, as I mentioned, the 1 seed from each conference. So what happened during the regular season? The first meeting happened way back in November? Early November. An 82-66 victory for the Wizards in Memphis. The Wizards shot a blazing 58% from the field. The Grizzlies were 48% from the field. Noteworthy was that Ja Morant had 24 points in a losing effort, going 11 out of 18 from the field, 1 out of 2 from three-point distance. And that was somewhat of a harbinger for what was going to end up happening when the two teams met again a week later in Washington. You've heard me reference it a lot. As Jaymont Summerz had 18 points, 6 out of 9 from the field in that Wizards victory. But you've heard me reference a lot the Sunday massacre that happened to the Wizards. Now, it ended up only being an 11-point Grizzlies win, 82-71. The Grizzlies shot 48% from the field, while the Wizards shot 43%. But the big thing here was Ja Morant's 42 points, 15 out of 23 from the field, 10 out of 10 from the free throw line, 2 out of 5 from deep, as he lit us up in this game. And that's why I've jokingly called it all season the Sunday massacre, because it happened a week later on Sunday, in which, again, the Grizzlies got some revenge, an 82-71 victory. So the two teams split. And I think really, just in a nutshell, the series will come down to how much we can contain Ja Morant. Now, as you know, this is our NBA 2K23 simulation. We have played the entire 82-game season as the Washington Wizards. We have mirrored their entire season with the exception of the playoffs, since the Wizards did not make the playoffs, and the one game where the Detroit Pistons back in February got stuck in Dallas due to inclement weather, and that game was postponed and moved into March. So that was the only time we did not exactly follow the schedule. We will be following the NBA finals schedule. So game 1, hope to see you on our YouTube channel. Game 1 will be on Thursday, June 1st, 3 days from now. And again, hope to see you there. As the NBA Finals, we are finally here after our very long road. You can check out our YouTube channel, our season summary. There's also the 82-game playlist. You can also check those out. And there is a playoff playlist as well. So that's going to do it for this edition, number 28. Took a couple weeks to get here, but we wanted to preview the NBA Finals. That's going to do it for this edition of the Season Long Podcast, which supports our YouTube channel, SeasonLongBaller. We will see you June 1st, Wizards, Grizzlies. Can't wait to start that one. Hope to see you there. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. That's it for Season Long Baller. Peace.